Hi, it's Will from stormthecastle.com, and this is a tutorial on how to make a Clash of the Titans Perseus sword out of cardboard and a few other materials. It's a pretty easy project, comes out, and it should come out looking pretty good. And let me go over, this is a replica of the sword in the movie. Let me go over what the materials you're going to need and how we're going to do this. You're going to need some cardboard, at least three pieces that are 27 inches long, so you can cut out the sword. A few extra pieces of cardboard to make the medallions that go on the handle, and some of these runners that go down the middle. You're going to need some kind of a glue or a glue gun. Glue gun's best because it's fast. And you're going to need something to cut the cardboard with. A couple of knives would be nice. And of course paints to paint it. And I recommend silver, black, and gold. And you're going to need my template over here. I have a template here that I have all up on my website that you can print that out and then use it to make the sword. And what happens is I have all these designs, all these patterns in the template, so you cut them out, put them on the cardboard, and then trace around it so you can cut out your cardboard. So I'm also going to try something a little different here. To get that sword, that old Bronze Age, Iron Age sword look, I'm going to try using some celluclay. I have it over there in the corner. Applying that to this and see how it comes out. It's kind of like an experiment, and so we'll see what it looks like. But once you build your whole sword, you can always just paint it or do anything you want with it to decorate it or whatnot. You don't have to use celluclay, but I wanted to give it a try and see how it comes out. So the first thing to do is, once you've printed up the template, cut out all of the different parts, cut out all your cardboard parts, 7 cardboard parts, then we're going to assemble them. So what we do is we're going to glue the 3 pieces of a blade together so it's nice and strong, nice and sturdy, and then we glue the medallions on. One medallion on this side and one medallion on this side, and then we glue the runners on. One here and one in the back, and the whole sword is assembled. And then from there it's a matter of decorating it. And optionally, you can print out these medallions and cut them out, or if you wanted, you didn't have to cut these out because this takes a little time. Use a really sharp knife to cut all these patterns out, but you could just leave it and then decorate it, paint it, or draw it, or whatever. But it looks a little nicer if you cut them out like that. So let me give you a couple of interesting tidbits about a sword like this. Now this sword is only 27 inches long, so it's a little bit shorter than a normal sword, but that's typical of like an Iron Age or a Bronze Age sword. They weren't that long because they didn't have the technology, didn't have the ability to make swords very long, or they'd break, they'd be very brittle. Not until steel came around centuries later. And a couple more things is that you can see that the sword has a bit of an unusual shape, that it's very thick on the bottom here, and it's still rather thick on the rest of the blade, and there's not much of a point on it. That's the same thing applies, is in that in the Bronze Age and the Iron Age, they had to make the swords rather thick and rather wide and rather short, because that was about the best they could do with the iron or bronze. They couldn't make them longer and thinner because they didn't have steel or a carbon steel. So that was the limits of the technology they had at the time. So it's good to see that in the movie, and they kind of stuck to that to try to get a decent look at what the swords actually looked like during that time period. So just something to think about, but it's an interesting little sword. And so I'm going to assemble some of it. I'm going to glue it all together, and I'll show you two of you when it's glued. Okay, I've gone ahead and glued this all together, and I used a hot glue gun, which means it took me about 5 minutes. And it's assembled. The 3 slices of the sword, the 2 middle runs, and the 2 medallions. So this looks good. So from here, what you could do is you could go right ahead and paint it. You could, if you wanted to, you could cover it with aluminum foil or cover it with tape, anything, decorate it any way you want. And, but I'm going to try this over here. I'm going to try this celluclay and see what I think about it. So I may end up ruining this sword. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll let you take a look, see what it looks like. Okay, I've mixed up my celluclay by putting some in a bowl and then slowly adding some water to it until I get it to a nice consistency, kind of like a oatmeal. So next I'm going to start applying it just by hand or with a brush, and start just applying it to the whole sword, kind of like this. And I won't show you the whole process, but I'm going to put it on there, and then I'm going to start to move it around, fill that. See how that fills in the sword? So this might come out good. I don't know, we're going to have to see. This is my first time using celluclay, so I may use it more often. So I will I'll show it to you when it's done, so just apply it liberally. And it's a little tricky because you got to work with it. So I'm just applying the celluclay and, you know, getting it into a shape, and it's looking pretty good. You know, for a Bronze Age or Iron Age sword, this is actually, I think, going to be pretty good. See that? It's got a little bit of a wrinkled look to it, like a dappled metal. So I got to keep doing that, and I'm going to continue to work on this. No need for you to watch me do the whole thing, but it is interesting, and I'm interested to see how it's going to come out. And celluclay dries nice and hard, and you can once it's done, you can sand it, you can drill it, you can work it some more. So that's what I'm going to end up doing, probably, is working it some more. Okay, here's a look at the Clash of the Titans Perseus sword with the celluclay on the blade, and I also put it on the medallion. But I don't know if you can see that, but I filled in the medallion to give it some nice shape. Now it looks kind of rough right now, but once I paint that up, it's going to look pretty good. I love the rust. It's kind of like I can't describe it. It's like a metallic iron bronze kind of texture to it, which is really kind of neat. So I kind of like this for the blade. Now I haven't decided yet whether I'm still going to do the handle. I might just wrap the handle so I can move on with this project. But I like it. It's pretty strong. Okay, I just wanted to show you real quick what comes, part of what comes in the template that you can print up. There's 3 pages, and what you do is you print up the packet, you cut out the pieces, and because the sword is longer than 1 page, you just tape these pieces together. See, 1, 2, and 3, and that's the shape of the sword. And then you take that and you put it on a sheet of cardboard, and you trace it to the cardboard, and then you cut out, the actually 3 layers. You cut out 3 of them for the sword to make the 3 layers of the sword. And you do the same thing for the medallions here. Okay, I've completed making the Clash of the Titans Perseus sword, and I ended up making 2, and I wanted to show them to you. They came out great, and all they are, well, for the most part, all they are is some cardboard. So here's the first one, and this one is just plain cardboard. And I have all of this stuff on my website. You can download the templates, and you can, print them out, cut them up, and put it all together. And this one, so if you want an easier one, cardboard. Now I wanted to try celluclay, which I did end up doing on the blade here. Just on the blade, and on this I covered all of that with celluclay, which is kind of like a professional paper mache mix, and it came out fantastic. I really like that look. When you're talking like a Iron Age sword or a Bronze Age sword, it's got that kind of rough look to it. So it's very very nice. I like that. So that's just an option. You could always paper mache it or just paint it or whatever you want. So those are the Perseus swords from Clash of the Titans. Plenty more stuff on my website at www.stormthecastle.com. I got all kinds of stuff, swords and armor and all kinds of interesting things. More coming.